Recording.
Okay, today we're going to show you how to make sauerkraut. And this is going to be called sauerkraut for dumbasses like me and my son. Because every time we tried to make sauerkraut, even though all the videos say it's easy, it's always spoiled and gone bad. Or not always, but I would say more than half the time we've tried. And we're going to suggest to use a coffee press. The reason why you use a coffee press is pretty simple. When you make sauerkraut, of course you know that you use cabbage and salt, and the cabbage and the salt together produces a lot of liquid, a saline solution, which ferments eventually. But the critical thing in making sauerkraut is keeping the cabbage under the water line. If just a drop or two of cabbage sticks up above, it'll spoil because it'll contaminate with a different type of bacteria than you want in there, and it'll eventually contaminate the whole sauerkraut. So to avoid that, and the other thing to do to avoid that contamination, you have a press which you're going to put the chopped sauerkraut in, and you're going to be able to compress it. As you see over here, we've got covered fermenting red cabbage and regular cabbage sauerkraut, and we're able to press down as the cabbage ferments. And that's important because in order to keep the correct and the desirable fermentation bacteria, what's doing the fermentation, together, you want to keep it compacted, and you also want to keep the water level high. You want to keep the cabbage down below the water. So anyway, we're going to cut up this cabbage, and we're going to put it in a bowl or a pot, and then we're going to let the salt, we're going to have a mixture ratio on the cabbage. For a head of cabbage, normally a head of cabbage weighs 2 pounds. The ratio of salt to cabbage, and that's all you're mixing is salt and cabbage, is a heaping teaspoon to 1 or 2 pounds of cabbage, which is a head. So we're going to measure this cabbage, how much it weighs here on the scale. And we're looking at it, and it's just about 2 pounds. 2 pounds and 5 ounces, a little bit more. So we'll use a real heaping teaspoon of salt in our mixture. So we'll cut the cabbage up. Okay, stop. Okay, now I got my cabbage cut up, and I'm going to measure a heaping tablespoon here of salt. There we go, we got a little overflow, that's okay because we need a little more, 5 ounces over. So what I'm going to do is spread the salt in there. Don't have to be perfect.
I got a bulldog.
I throw the cabbage in the pot.
I got a bulldog.
And then I am going to
my backyard.
wait.
When he barks,
Cabbage all in the
he
pot.
roars like thunder. When he barks, he roars like thunder. When he barks, he roars like thunder. He'll bite you, baby, gonna bite you bad.
Of course, it's fresh cabbage in there. When you come back, we'll see that the cabbage has deteriorated a lot, gotten softer, and there's water forming. You just want to make sure that the cabbage and the salt are mixed together. So anyway, we'll come back in an hour, and then we'll bottle it into the 2 different coffee presses. We're a couple hours later. Take a look at that. Look at all the water down there already. How the stuff is. So we're gonna spoon this into these containers, and believe it or not, all this cabbage will probably eventually fit into one. Hold on a second. Get my spoon. Okay, here we go. Spoon it in. The only worry about this. We'll show you one, and then the only trick about this is at the end, making sure nothing's sticking above the water line. So we're just putting it in there. I'm going to put a little of that juice in there. Okay. Oops.
That's the truth.
All right. Yeah, that's better than half of I had already. Okay. Now, rinse this off. And last step is most crucial. Make sure all the cabbage is not leaning against the glass. Once this goes in, it's got a pretty good tight fit, and we just squish it down. And you'll see the water starting to form there. And as this ferments, the fermentation fluid will go above here, and that's what you want. You want the fermentation fluid above the plunger, and then every so few days or so you push down on the plunger, it goes more. What we're going to do is put the rest of this in another one of these. Are you taking the pictures?
Hmm?
Take a and put the rest of this in there, and then we're gonna, in 2 days or so later, it's safe still to open the container up, combine them, and all of this will fit into one. Then we just let it ferment for about 30 days, and 30 days or more, and that will be making sure all the time that the fluid is above the plunger. And that's the whole secret, and that's how we make cabbage. And then once the cabbage is done, we bottle it in a jar. This is some cabbage we bottled today, and it's about 5 weeks old. Really good. And so far, no better. You can buy these at the IKEA store for about $9. They sell for. And like I said, one of these, if you buy 2 of them, you'll have enough to handle 1 head of cabbage, and the whole head will eventually just go into one, and then you can buy another head of cabbage. Anyway, that's it.